Hey, if I know how to click a button, we are live. Welcome, everyone, to another installment. Another, I say, because this is the 5th year in a row that I've been doing this, but this is a very special year for so many reasons. And I want to say right away, welcome and thank you, Sue Mathieson and Lisa Reed. You are here for the very first reading of Get A Klu in 52 for speakers with Sue Mathieson. And I'm holding up this copy, and you can see not for resale across the front, because that was the quickest I can get a hard copy in my hot little hands. This is part of the process, right? We wanted to get the book published by the end of the year, so we had time to order it, to get physical copies in time for the first tip reading. So what's the fastest way it'll get delivered? Well, I ordered as a consumer first, and then I went on and ordered authors' copies, and then finally the quickest way the physical copy could arrive was to order proofs. I'm like, well, we're going with it. Done is better than perfect. And there may be some mistakes in here, but as is tradition, I'll find them along the course of the year, because we're planning on reading every single word of this book, except for some of the things that you'll find in the introduction. Now, by way of introduction, let me say that if you're brand new to all this, the Get A Klu in 52 soft skills series, this is the 4th book in the series. And I wanted to tell you that we started off with this first one, this little rinky dinky Get A Klu in 52. It was so cute. And I found out all the mistakes that I had made in the first version when I was reading tips every Sunday night in the year 2020. Do you remember 2020? Yeah, me too. Spent a month. I spent a month in that year one day. Anyway, I found all the mistakes, right? At least I found all the mistakes. We cleaned it up, and we did the second edition of Get A Klu in 52. But what I want to communicate real quick is that these books have 5 categories. So 10 categories in each tip. And then we threw an extra 2 in 1 or 2 of the categories. Let me get Patty. Hello, Patty. So good to see you. Patty is here and is going to get one of the thank yous that I've got lined up in store. But let me just do this intro here. I won't spend too much time on this the rest of the year. We'll get it all out of the way now. But the first Get A Klu in 52, the 5 categories were communication, networking, marketing, sales, and accountability. Found all the mistakes in the first version, cleaned it up for the second version, read these tips again in the year 2021, but streamed into the YouTube channel. So I had all of these tips read and streamed into my Facebook group, and then all the tips read and streamed into the YouTube channel. Then one of my clients, Vipul Dayal, who's a serial go-giving entrepreneur, he wanted to do a book, and so we teamed up on the Entrepreneur Edition. And so the 5 categories for the Entrepreneur Edition were personal branding, business acumen, business ownership, leadership and influence, and work-life balance. And then we read those tips online in 2022. And then last year, it's so fun to say last year, it was the year of the coach. For me, I was advocating the coaching profession. I was volunteering as the vice president of communication for the Professional Coaches Alliance. And anyway, Get A Klu in 52 for coaches, myself included. And this is a really fun book to read through. A lot of the content is repurposed from my coaching and leadership training. So it's just the book form of a lot of the things that I do in my coaching and leadership training. Wow, we're totally international today. Check this out. Colin all the way from Australia. Hey, this is a fun party, I can tell you right now. Let me continue with my introduction and setting the stage for what we're doing. So the 5 categories in Get A Klu in 52 for coaches was kind of organized chronologically. First, we have to self-promote. Then we have to get clients. Then we have to motivate them. Then we have to hold them accountable. And then we got to build a practice out of all of that. And I'd stopped just shy of calling it a business for all these reasons that I had fun with, to the tune of 99 bottles of beer on the wall. Remember, 12 accountabilities on the wall, 12 accountability. So we went through the 12 accountabilities of building a practice, and we're going to do that again. Those are the tips, by the way, that are repurposed in Get A Klu in 52 for speakers. So those are repurposed tips, but the other 4 categories that we're going to start the year off. First of all, tonight, tip number 1 is coming from the integrity game. The first section of this book is we're going to be playing the integrity game. There's 10 tips that we've got, and it's like putting the found, not the lost, but the found back in foundation, structural integrity for being a speaker, writing speeches, having a speaking practice or career or business. So we're going to play the integrity game. Tip number 1 is coming from section number 1. But as a preview, 10 weeks from now, we're going to start section number 2, where we're going to bring out your brand. We're going to take you right into the coaching and mentoring sessions that I've done all around the world, where I've been on assignment to get speakers ready for the big stage, and where we take the time to really get to know people and figure out the whole formula of activity and exercise that we go through in order to come out the other end with slogans and taglines and hooks and URLs and content that we can stand on and shout from the rooftops that we're really proud of. And then we're ready to be fearless and get into the systematic approach to constructing a speech, writing a speech, developing a talk, a presentation, a keynote, a speech, systematic approach. And when we get to step 5 in that 8-step process, it's so important. It gets its own section. So step 5 is the outlining process of getting your thoughts organized. We're going to dive deep, dare I say, Kluba diving into the elements, forms, and functions of a really basic but proper and valuable outlining format that really helps us on the way to being fearless, first of all, but second of all, conversational. I mean, nobody wants to be read to when we're speaking. We want to have such command of our content that we can stay conversational in the flow. And this 5th step that we dive deep on, elements, forms, and functions, is all for the purpose of helping us be conversational. Command of content, but conversational. Let us be our genuine selves. One of the reasons I love every time I get to watch you speak, Lisa, you always have that freedom within your framework. We're going to get to Lisa in just a moment as we acknowledge everybody online. But the last section of the book, as I mentioned, is going to be about practice building. We're just repurposing that a little bit because the accountabilities are so important. One of the reasons the tips are so good, we got to reuse them. No, second of all, we want the book to have information for speakers and non-speakers alike. So if you didn't get the 12 tips on practice building, Get A Klu 52 for coaches, and even if you don't want to be a speaker, you're still going to benefit from learning the 12 accountabilities for building any practice into a business or any monetizable skill set into an income-earning hobby, into a practice, into a thriving practice, into a business, etc. So at a high level, we want to focus on something specifically for speakers, but Sue and I'll let her speak about this in a moment, we want to invite you into the mentor-mentee relationship, the dialogue. This is the first book in the Get A Klu in 52 series where there's somebody's voice other than my own. Even when we did the co-authored version with Vipul, it was still kind of my voice, right? And in this case, Sue's dialogue, Sue's interjections, the dance that Sue and I always keep saying we want to capture our intent. And you'll give us the feedback if we've done it successfully or not, is we want to capture the lovely power of the mentor-mentee relationship. And so, Sue, I want everybody in the world to relate to you. I want everybody in the world to be able to identify with you. And I want some of the world to be able to identify with me and strive to be the world-class coach that I've been honored to be with assignments that I've had all around the world. Colin is here, Patty is here, Sue is here. It's just a treat to be me. And so here we are. We're so excited to bring this book to you. Sue, have a lot of people to thank real quick. And then I want to hand it off to you before we introduce Lisa, if we can. So first of all, on the cover design, I want to thank Sean O'Connor for putting together this incredible cover and the back cover. It looks so good. I just love it. It communicates what we want it to communicate. And he was patient. And it's an amazing process when you communicate something you can see in your head. You don't have the skill sets to design it, but you communicate it and you think, oh, communication game, things will get lost in the translation. For him to produce exactly what I was seeing in my head, make it look even better than what I saw is amazing, amazing, amazing. I want to give a very special recognition to Stella Maritz Pelin. She is an apprentice that been working with for a couple of years through this service called Acadian, where you agree to be a mentor for somebody for 1 to 2 hours a week in exchange for 10 hours of labor, but you have to promise that you don't expect it to be good because they're just starting off, they're students, they're inexperienced, they're trying to get experience. So this represents, it's really it's hard to talk about without tearing up, because I've been a young person where other people have mentored me and helped me and given me opportunity and seen stuff in me that I wasn't even ready to see in myself. And it's a magical moment because you prove yourself right or prove yourself wrong. Well, Stella, we said, hey, Stella, do you want to put it on your resume that you designed an interior design for a book? Don't worry, no pressure. If it's not good, we don't have to use it, but you still get to put it on your resume that you worked on it, right? Well, guess what? We used it because it is damn good. One of the things I'm so super proud of is the interior design that Stella did. She's got a credit in the book. She's got a credit on Amazon. And it's just such an icon of joy for me to give back to young people and create the environment, the opportunity, provide the resources for people to get the experience they want. And my identity as a mentor is just warm and full-hearted, giving thanks and congratulations to Stella. Overarchingly, we've got this executive director rings around my Saturn. It's amazing when somebody can organize all the mess in my head and make it look clean and good. So Patty McKenna, you get a really, really, really special thank you as well. And oh, that's not what I want. I want to hide that. And then Sue, I want to thank you in so many ways, as I'm going to be doing all year long, right? This is a project that you've been invested in, with your time, your energy, your talents, your voice. I want to before we go to Lisa, and I also want to thank real quick Patty Blakesley. Real quick before we get Patty, you have, I think this is, I'm losing count, right? But the how many back cover descriptions have you done now? Is this 3? It feels like all of them, or 10 of them, or what have you.
I think it's 3.
I want to give credit to Patty as well, because when you read the back cover description for the book, she's there consistent. You know, Patty, I don't want to say like a mother figure because you cringe at that, but you're like family to me, like big sister, aunt, all in one. When my parents passed, other people emerged in my life as those that I want to be proud of me.
Mm-hmm.
And you're in that group of people that I really want to be proud of me every day. So having said all of that, let me go ahead and introduce my co-author, Integrity Games certified coach, Sue Mathieson. Sue, let's hear from you about this before we get into the tip reading and before we turn it over to Lisa Reed for a couple minutes. Let's hear from you. Welcome, Sue.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, look, it's a sort of nervous excitement to be here. It's funny. It feels different actually being a co-author, and whereas I've done many of the tip reading sessions, it feels really different, but it's amazing. A couple of things about like the whole process was wonderful, and it was really a fabulous experience to try and put into writing some of the experience that I've been able to enjoy over the last few years in my coaching, mentoring relationship with Jeff, and to be able to share that with others, and by putting it into print, make it tangible that this is what it feels like, this is what people can experience, and the absolute value that I continue to gain. So it's just so many words come to mind in terms of absolute gratitude for the opportunity, Jeff, to go through the process of writing, translating information into a dialogue, but it's very much what our dialogue is like, and that was fun.
Yeah, I tell you, it's more than that, Sue, right? It's like first, like the collaboration on deciding what do we want. We were with the gamut from leadership and working with CEOs to HR and soft skill trainings and all of that project management kind of work. We got tips for all of that. But when we agreed on speakers, I remember the first, are you sure? You sure? Yeah. And you know, like the care that we took as a collaboration, right? Because I know that, you know, my brand and my personality is so heavy in all of this, right? So the loveliness with which we elevated you to co-equal status in this project, right? The agreement, the are you sure? Are we ready? Are we agreed? Does that feel good? That care, it's really, really important. And it was fun for me to kind of, you know, I was talking to my wife, like, you know, it's one thing to be an author, but it's another thing in this case for me to be like a leader, to have a vision and to get all of these people together, right? So it's from yourself to Stella, to Sean, to Patty, to communicate to everybody and bring it all together. Super, super fun. And so I'm grateful for that effortlessness that you and I share, and I hope it comes through in the book. Now, one of the hardest parts of like reining everybody in on this project was this Lisa Reed gal. And no, in all seriousness, I feel like Lisa, like I just feel like you're a sister. Like I know the family theme is there, but from the first time I saw Lisa Reed speak, I'm like, that's something I would say. That's something I would do. That I'm laughing and I'm not seeing everybody else laugh. I'm like, what's going on here? And then, you know, when she saw me speak, like her reaction. So we feel like we're kindred spirit. And let me go ahead and just welcome you to this tip reading as the author of the foreword for Get A Klu in 52 for Speakers. It says here across the screen, but in case somebody's driving along, listening, not watching, you are the current CEO of the International Speakers Network and founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now. There's nobody more perfect under the sun to write the foreword for this book. And so we're just oozing with gratitude. Lisa, welcome to Get A Klu in 52 for Speakers with Sue Mathieson.
Oh my gosh, thank you. I feel the same, and I'm excited to be more in your realm, Sue, as well. And Jeff and I kind of merged quickly and unexpectedly in our colleague relationship and sibling relationship. And I got to experience that again reading the book. I thought, oh my God, I would say exactly what you said, Jeff. I'd be like, that's what I tell people all the time. How does Jeff know? How is he in my head? What's going on? I thought I keep preaching this, and I'm like, this is, and I even said it to I said, I'll spill a little teeny bean. Tell him what you're going to tell him. Tell him, and then tell him what you told him. Like, that's like as old as, I don't know, as old as the sun. But a lot of people just don't know that because they haven't had the degrees that we have. They didn't sit through a bunch of speech classes like we have, and that's okay. It's all good.
Let alone teaching them and grading the outline.
I know.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff excites me. What can I say? It's very exciting. But I also really love the integrity game. And I'm sure I'm not the only one here who knows a lot of people who've written books, right? When we're in this space, the coaching space, the entrepreneurial space, I mean, it's like, if you don't know any authors, you don't have any friends, right? But there's a lot of people who outside of that space who are like, what? You wrote a book? And they're so excited. And I love that. But so I know I have a lot of people who give me their books or who've written a book. And sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, I hope it's and I love the integrity game so much. I even referred it to a couple of friends of mine. Like, yeah, you didn't mention that one because I know it's not a 52 one, but that's okay. Great. And I know the first part of this book's going to be included. So I just want to acknowledge, Jeff, your creativeness, your drive, even getting this book out in the time that you did, and the care, stunning. And I'm, bowing down to you and Sue as well. Just incredible. And I know a lot of people are going to really benefit from the project.
Well, that's awesome. I can't tell you, it's like, in the effort to practice humility, one of the tips in this book that we'll get to down the road is when humility can be humiliating, right? And when it comes to marketing, that's not a time to be humble. So, nope. But that said, the respect we have for each other is mutual, I promise. And just FYI, to peek out from behind the curtain a little bit, when you're asking somebody to write a foreword for your book, you want that to be somebody that you look up to. You want that to be somebody that elevates the overall credibility of the project. I don't want to look beneath me per se, if the world, please take that the right way. But you ask somebody that you respect, somebody that you look up to, somebody that you aspire to be like a little bit, or somebody that's done things you haven't done. If you look at the people that you've written forwards for my books. And so now you're in an elite group, Lisa, and the gratitude is ours. The respect is mutual. Absolutely. And the faces are smiling. Now, what do I want to do here? I want to say hello to Colin and say hello to Patty, but give me a second here just to see if I can do this. If my thing is not acting up. Here we go. Look, I've got, so far so good. Tell me if you guys can see my screen. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. So I'm showing you guys, and I'm taking you to the inside of the book and showing you what we're not going to read. What we're not going to read is advanced praise for my coaching and mentoring from these people all around the world that I was fortunate enough to have assignments of doing exactly what Sue and I have done, what Patty and I have done, Colin and I we've done, is deep dive, immersive, full day, 2 days, 3 days of roll up our sleeves coaching. But you can read inside all of the testimonials, and the stuff that's in bold and italics are the things that I'm really proud of. These are the things that I want people to get out of the experience together. So Sue, you know that you're representing people all around the world as your voice emerges in this project, but we're not going to read all of that word for word for you. What we are going to do is we're going to make sure everybody can see how proud I am to give Stella this credit in the book, and how thrilled we are with Sean. And I don't want to do too much manipulation of the document because I don't want the program to crash, but you get to appreciate some of the design elements here. And we can tell you that we're not going to read my dedications, although, of course, I'm thinking about my family, Dr. Heather Canary, who got me reacquainted with my alma mater at San Diego State, where I get to teach public speaking again after 6.5 years of being retired. I'm now unretired, so it's incredibly fulfilling. All the students past and present, and to Sue, my eternal dedication, of course, we're immortalized a little bit in this book together. And then Sue's dedications are far more simple than mine. We're not going to read this to you word for word, but they're in there. And then now we get to this forward by Lisa Reed. So Lisa, I'm going to turn it back over to you real quick while I'm screen sharing and to see if there's anything else. Like, I'm assuming you don't want to read this word for word, but rather you'd speak from the heart, maybe summarize the process. I could just scroll through this and have it up. If just turn it over to you one more time before I ask to hear from Colin and Patty, then we get into today's tip reading. Any other comments about
as much
this?
as I'd love to be able to read it, it's so small I can't. Oh, that's okay. No, I don't need to read that.
No.
But I already mentioned a little bit about how much I respect you. And what I didn't mention I've never been asked to write a forward before. I've got 6 published books under my belt, and 2 just on my own. A couple of the other ones were compilations, but I've never actually written a forward. And to me, that was such an honor. And I knew I needed to say yes when I felt scared and terrified, I think is the word maybe. And I'm so glad I did it. I'm so proud. It's funny. I'm actually more proud of your guys' book. Like, it's like, oh, I'm so excited to be like the support in it.
Well, that's one of the themes is that we are all people that want to make a difference for others, right? We're all aligned there. So, and it's often coaches can't operate on themselves, etc. So it's just wonderful. Like, I feel that comment the same way. I'm more happy for Stella than I am for me, or you know what I mean? More happy for Sue than I am for me. I just want to make this joke real quick. That is your signature, right? No forges. That is your signature.
Sure.
Okay.
This is my real hair color too.
So I want everybody to know that Sue wrote a Dear Reader letter from her perspective. What do we hope you get out of this? And I wrote a Dear Reader letter as well. So that covers all of the things that are on the introduction to the book that get us started. And that gets us to section 1, where we're going to be playing the integrity game. And tip number 1 comes from this section today. And I'll go back to screen sharing in a moment, but let me honor the fact that you are here, Colin and Patty, and see if you want to open up your mics and say hello. Do you have any words of anything to say before we get into today's tip reading? Patty first, of course, and then Colin.
Well, thank you. I'm just so excited about this book. I've known you, of course, longer, Coach Jeff, but I've known Sue for a long time now, and we have, been going to KLU zoos together for the integrity game, and I just am so excited for this book, and I'm looking forward to being on as many of these as I can be.
Awesome. Well, we certainly look forward to that as well. Happy you're here today. Colin, let's hear from you, my man.
Hey, how's it going? So,
it's going great.
Yeah, as well. I think we all met at the same time, didn't we? The 3 of us.
Just about. Yeah.
Yeah, just about. Yep. In Sydney, and I was excited to see this book because, quite frankly, I've tried to work with some people who wanted to be speakers, and they are wannabe speakers, and they're not willing to do the work that's required to become a paid speaker.
Yeah.
And they don't understand it. So I think this book is going to be invaluable because, I love speaking, and you can tell from my age, I'm only 37. But yeah, I'm like you, Jeff. I actually semi-retired, for various reasons, and I'm getting back into it. And it's like I want to get back into the speaking. I'm running corporate workshops now again, and I'm focused on values-based leadership.
Yeah.
So there's a whole aspect of because I think we lack a lot of values in leadership, and I don't know whether you know, but after I saw my coaching with you, Jeff, I actually went off and did an MBA. So, you're to blame for me getting an education.
Yeah. Well, hey, I resemble that remark. Well, congratulations. That's no small accomplishment. That's a big accomplishment. That's like writing several books, if you will, all the papers, and then, of course, what you have to do to finalize that degree. Congratulations, Colin. And I'd say congratulations to you for being semi-retired and getting back into the game, but I'm more happy for the people that you're serving. Like, congrats to them for reaching out to you and getting you into their boardrooms and onto their stages and so forth. And then, back to your original comment about the people that aren't willing to do the work. Sometimes they don't know what the work is that needs to be done. Sometimes, it's through no fault of their own or no malice, but I can tell you that there are plenty of people that see the end game. They see the end result, which is a speaker in pictures on a stage with people lining up to, right? I want that. They want to be that. They want to snap their fingers and get to that, right? That's why the speech writing process doesn't show up until halfway through the book. It's like, hang on, I don't want to build a mansion on top of quicksand. Let's put the back in foundation. Let's have structural integrity. Let's figure out what our brand promise is. And then let's write a speech, and all of it is work. So we're not going to do the work in these sessions, but we're going to pop the cork, and hopefully we'll motivate people to take action. And we're available for coaching, of course, if people want to reach out and get 2 comp sessions from an Integrity Game certified coach, and we could talk about working directly with people. But the work is something that not everybody pays attention to. But Sue and I were proud. We did a lot of work the last couple of months to get this thing ready. And without any further ado, I'm ready to dive in. Sue, are you ready?
Yeah.
Right, this is all right. So I'm going to go back to let me do this, playing the integrity game. And as a matter of fact, we've got tip number 1. So here we go, tip number 1. And let me just see if I can. Let's just see how this plays to have it up while we go through a little bit. You guys tell me if this plays. All right. So section 1, playing the integrity game. Let me get to the right page in my physical copy. I'm not going to read it off the screen. I'm going to read it from the physical copy. And so here we go. Page 26 is where we are if you're following at home. So yeah, let's do that. Right. So here you go, everyone. As a coach, I've had the honor and privilege of helping others improve their lives and careers in a multitude of industries. In typical Jeff Klubeck mode, I provide my lessons in the form of tips, which have been published in my previous books, Get A Klu in 52, A Practical Guide for Expanding Self and Business, Get A Klu in 52 for Entrepreneurs with co-author Vipul Dayal, and Get A Klu in 52 for coaches, myself included, and the years are listed there. So this is my 4th one in a row. All right. In this book, I'm excited to expand my audience with dozens of brand new and a handful of adapted tips, specifically for a profession that is near and dear to me, speaking. In the process of defining, writing, and organizing my thoughts and teachings, it occurred to me that the best way to share the speaker coaching that I personally deliver with readers is to open the door and invite them into those coaching sessions. After all, who does a speaker best relate to? While the perfect answer would be their audience, we all know that speakers relate to other speakers. They all have similar experiences, fears, uncertainties, and goals. They also have many of the same challenges and struggles. That's where Sue comes in. I've coached Sue in her speaking career, and during the process found that she represents many of my speaking clients. Like you, she's had successes and setbacks. Sue wants to take her speaking career to the next level, but is unsure what steps she needs to take to get there. In our first coaching session, she brought up something I've been asked many times before. I'll let Sue take it from here.
Jeff, I first spoke in my Year 9 school assembly to a group of almost 100 students. Even though it was a daunting experience, being my first time, I loved the journey of doing research and collating my thoughts. To follow this was sharing my ideas and learnings, and bearing influence with my peers was really exhilarating. Despite all these wonderful feelings, though, I didn't know what to do with the experience. Through my 20s and 30s, I led youth group activities and I facilitated workshops and small groups, always aware of this desire to communicate, influence, and empower others. Jeff, are you able to help me make sense of this?
Boy, am I. Oh, I'm sorry. That wasn't there in the word for it. I added that little editorial discretion. All right. First of all, you probably first spoke well before the Year 9 anecdote you just shared. Imagine back to the earliest memory you have of your family huddled around you. Not the proverbial campfire, but you in your youth and innocence, totally safe, totally attended to, totally curious, and totally fearless. Can you close your eyes and see your adult family members sitting on the couches or in a semi-circle sort of configuration in a living room, all the while totally in awe of you? Attending, laughing, encouraging, asking for more. It's an image in my mind for sure. Do you also have one? The childish performing for our adult family members is truly the first time we speak. And it wasn't about your research. It wasn't about your it wasn't about your research. It was about your message. It wasn't about collating your thoughts. It was about fearlessly sharing them. It wasn't even about sharing your ideas because it was all about the last thing you said, being of influence. Make sense of this. The purpose of speaking is always the impact on the audience / listener. Yes, we will benefit. Yes, we will feel good if we do well. Yes, people will want to invest in and buy from us. Yes, we can be motivational. Yes, we can earn money and accolades and fans and followers. But the purpose of public speaking is that pure impact we seek to have on our audience, right? And the benefits to them as a result of our speaking. When we were children, all the adults wanted was to see us have a go. It doesn't have to be well researched. It doesn't have to be collated. It doesn't have to be in an understandable language, but it has to be real. It has to be true, and it has to give something to our audience. When we see, and if we can remember, the pure joy of our adult family members as the audience for our childish expressions and performances, we get hooked. Why is that? Well, there are many reasons. They are paying attention. They are encouraging. They are smiling, laughing, and we don't even know why, but we don't care because this feels so good. Whatever this is, it feels good. Does that make sense? I know that not everyone had that. Not everyone had adults in their life who cared to take a moment to listen, to be an audience. Not everyone is lucky enough to have this memory that I'm asking if you indeed have.
And yes, I did have. I remember some friends, my siblings and I putting on a concert for all of our parents. They were our very enthusiastic audience when we sang Yellow Submarine. And we enjoyed, I don't know if you know that, and the song, yeah. And we enjoyed seeing them have a good time watching us. And
yeah, we all live in that thing, right? All right. Second, I'm drawing your attention to the integrity game and the very first point on its 10-point model, purpose. What a powerful word. And in question form, what a powerful confrontation. What is the purpose of speaking? What is the purpose of any given talk, engagement, keynote, etc.? If the only answers to that question are autobiographical, a speaker may struggle. Here are a few examples. To build my brand, to get paid, to promote and sell my books, to get the pictures and the videos for marketing collateral, to sell my programs. And here comes the Kluby snack. You guys ready? Oh, wait, I got to stop sharing for this one because here we go. There it is. All right. No, that's not the right one. Oh, I messed up. I have this prepared so well. There he goes. There's the Kluby snack. All right. The autobiographical purposes of speaking are beholden to the biographical purposes. What will the audience learn, get, and do because of our speech? That said, the integrity game asks us to answer 10 sets of questions to help us retrofit ourselves, to make us resilient to the outside pressure tests that come our way. When it comes to being a speaker, wanting to be a speaker, wanting to be a better speaker, wanting to monetize speaking, wanting to drive leads in traffic, wanting to secure votes, sway opinions, generate sales, motivate action, the integrity game asks us to have answers to questions of purpose. When it comes to speaking, be clear that I believe the number one purpose for opening our mouths at all is because of the benefit to the listener, the help, the good, resource, insight, appeal, motivation, and different it makes for the listener. Normally, I would be preaching all day long to speakers to let them know that speaking is not about the speaker. But that is only true in the moment the speaker is speaking. Everything leading up to the speech and after must be rooted in the answers to questions of purpose. Why do you want to be a speaker? Why do you want to speak? What is the purpose of speaking, becoming a speaker, giving a speech? From time to time, the autobiographical purposes of any given speech or speaker may change, but nowhere, no how, at no time ever in the history of speech has there ever been a speech whose purpose and effectiveness did not entirely depend on the listener and audience. Remember the joy on your family members' faces and seek to replicate that for additional and compounding purpose. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Tip number 1 is in the book. Sue, I can stop shaking now. I was so nervous. All right, wait. Sue, was it good for you?
It was really helpful for me. And it helps me, well, it prompts me to consider the purpose of anything I say. Ouch. When I think about that, the purpose of anything I say, even if it isn't necessarily a formal speech, am I building up? Am I tearing down? And I'll keep the image of very enthusiastic parents cheering us on in my mind as well. But yeah, awesome. I was nervous too. That's it.
I have to apologize. I forgot this last little. I'm showing it now. This last little dialogue box. I was so happy to get to my last word. I'm like, oh no, because this is the first time that there's dialogue. This is a special edition, right? And so I'm telling you, by 2 or 3 tips into this, we're going to have a really good flow. But that was fun, and I think it came up. Let's ask our participants, what was that like for you guys to hear us go through that? I want to summarize. There's a couple of things that I want to pull out and summarize, but let's hear from you guys first. What did you think of tip number 1, and how did Sue and I do? Did we do okay with the tip reading?
Yep, good. Well,
thank you.
Yeah, it's getting used to, and that's one of the things when having a co-speaker with you, and it's understanding when everyone comes in and things like this. And I remember I had one speaking partner, and we did a joint workshop together.
Mm-hmm.
We did joint speeches and that, and it took us about 3 times before we delivered. Then after a while, we didn't even have to, you know, how often you have a speaker go, oh, no, here's David and here's Colin, I'll go back to, didn't have to do that. It was just, you could pick up the conversation, and it just comes from practice. But well done.
It's easier when there's 2 pros up there. You know, I've been in situations where there's pros, etc., where, you know, but I've also been in a situation where we haven't known each other yet. We don't have that rhythm established. We both want to give value. We both read the room, and it's funny too. Out of default, they came up with this saying at one point, and I don't want to like disrespect anybody, but the saying emerged because of one of those dynamics. And it goes a little something like this: when there's 2 alphas in the room,
oh yeah.
When there's 2 alphas in the room, in my experience, the smarter alpha will usually defer to the dumber alpha. All right, I'll let that sit. Let's get back to our tip of declare your purpose.
Maybe that's why people deferred to me.
No, it's meant to be humor. It's a Klubi snack, right? It's meant to get you thinking, but we use humor as the Trojan horse a little bit. There's a big point I want to make about the content of the tip itself, but let me collect some feedback, some questions or comments on what we've done before my voice is overly prominent in this live stream. Patty or Lisa or Sue, do you have anything to add here after tip number 1?
I thought it was great. And yeah, I know I know you're getting used to your cadence. Wasn't sure if you were going to go back to sharing the screen or that you didn't. So you may have forgotten to that's just a little technical thing that'll probably get fixed.
Yeah, well, I you know, I'm spontaneous, right? And this is
good.
Oh wait, because I'm trying something new. Like, oh, let's see how it works to read the tip. Because I've been reading tips before without screen sharing. I'm wondering if my voice is getting boring. Do I need to do something visual to break it up? And so, you know, some experimentation there.
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah, cool. I don't, you know, like it's like, oh wait, if I'm screen sharing and the Klubi snack is broken out, I don't necessarily need to do a banner. And anyway, it's just classic Jeff trying to do too much, right? That's why I appreciate people that like executively edit me and provide rings around the Saturn.
I did not sense that either of you were nervous until you confessed. So I did not know that at all.
Okay.
So that did not come across to me at all. It seemed like you were just like, this is going to be great and easy peasy lemon squeezy.
Well, actually both are true, right? There was a lot of this is going to be great, but that doesn't mean I wasn't,
sure.
You know, like the rule of thumb, if you're not nervous, you don't care. And I really care. You know, I mean, I really, really, really care. I'm never afraid to make mistakes. That's for sure. But I care. You know, I want this to be good for everybody else that's involved. And I consider it my responsibility to make this valuable for everybody that's taking time to be a part of this. Let me acknowledge, by the way, along those lines, shout out to Troy Hoffman, who wrote the foreword to Get A Klu in 52 for coaches. He's chimed on. He says, let me show this. He says, Troy Hoffman says, go, Jeff. You are the speaker's coach. I know he meant to say coach's coach, right? And then shout out to the executive cat herder herself, Marissa Friedman, who agrees with Troy in saying great info, agreed. I appreciate those comments. And then, you know, hey, look, it's Friday night, 5 p.m. here in San Diego. And if anybody in the Pacific time zone is taking time out of their Friday night to chime in, I am grateful. And shout out to you, tip of the cap, and a big hug and all of that good stuff. Patty, do you have anything to say or add real quick here?
I really liked it. And I especially like the emphasis on the autobiographical thinking and the biographical thinking, because yes, the listener gets to decide what they heard. And that's why anyone would want to speak, really, from my point of view. My value, as you would say, Colin, is that we're only going to speak because we want to help someone.
Well, yes. And this brings up what I really wanted to get into. Okay, back to the Kluby snack. The autobiographical purpose, like, they both exist. Like, it's not one or the other. A day is not lightness only or darkness only. They both exist.
Right.
So one of the things that we're trying to communicate is through questions of purpose, we get to bring into balance the biographical and autobiographical purposes of speaking. If I can lay out as much purpose as possible and string those pearls, I'm going to be more motivated to do the work that Colin's talking about others avoiding. They're not afraid of doing the work. They just don't have enough why. You follow?
Right. Yeah.
Right. So the part that I'd like to read again, if you guys will humor me, this is the part that is really, really, really the part that I'm trying to really get across. Right. Normally, I would be preaching all day long to speakers to let them know that speaking is not about us. But that is only true in the moment that we're speaking.
Right.
Everything leading up to and after that has to be somehow rooted in our answers to purpose. Why are we speaking? Why are we presenting a speech? What brand promise is that speech communicating to the marketplace? And then how do we back up and deliver and fulfill that promise? Is that it? Do we just get up and speak and that's it? Or is there more purpose on the front and back end? What's the purpose sandwich? You know, the autobiographical purpose sandwich. We all know, everybody knows. I'm not writing anything new. I'm not telling Sue anything she doesn't know. If I say, oh, speaking is not about you, it's never about this. I'm not saying anything new there. But I am saying something new if I encourage speakers to bring into balance the autobiographical with the biographical purposes. Too much imbalance in either direction, and you're going to have problems down the road, right? Why don't we just say, well, I'm speaking because I want to have meaningful work with a monetized skill set that lets me be myself and call my own shots. How about that? So meaningful work is helping others, but monetized skill set. If we're not clear and honest about how we want to help ourselves and why we want to help ourselves through speaking, we may not put the most into or get the most out of our speaking efforts. That's a little getting passionate here, right? We're playing the integrity game. We want to integrate the biographical with the biographical with autobiographical. And we all know the biography is a story I can write about you, but the autobiography is a story I write about myself. We can't ignore one in favor of the other. We've all seen the commission breath speakers. They're all about themselves, right? We've seen it. We've also seen the selfless speakers that aren't enough about themselves.
Yeah.
Let's integrate.
I'll
Go
chime
ahead,
in
Lisa.
if that's
Yeah.
okay. One way that I love how we are like literally living parallel lives in just different universes, but how I explain the same concept is I'll say, assuming you're using speaking for business building, right? Like assuming that you're doing that, I say you have to have balance of two main things: a balance of value for the audience. That has to happen. You have to need to get something out of why they sit there and listening to you. Like they got to get some value, or there's got to be some match. Otherwise, it's a false flat. It's a lose-lose. We want a win-win. But you also, this is the part that the real heart-centered speakers forget about, is you also have to honor and give value to your business. So you don't want to miss the opportunity and just be like, well, I just gave a bunch of stuff away and now I'm going home with nothing. And you're going to lose your fulfillment. You're going to lose, you're going to lose your momentum. You're going to think, oh, this doesn't work. I don't know. So you have to consider what you're talking about, Jeff and Sue, that purpose of like, why are you doing this? Why are you going to put your time and energy, your blood, your sweat, your tears into this? You got to get clear on that first. So I love this first tip.
Yeah, it ties in with, Colin, what you were speaking about, right? Work won't seem like work, and you'll run through a brick wall to do it if you have enough purpose, right? So go ahead, Sue. Let's hear what you got. You guys, by the way, this is my co-author, Sue.
Hi,
Sue. So excited.
Hi. To what you were saying, Lisa, though, what came to mind for me was in not honoring your business, and it almost you set yourself up to sabotage yourself and the quality and the credibility that you have. And I've lost my train of thought a bit there where I was going to go, but having been clear on that purpose helps you to, you're talking about getting that balance. But I think too that the outcome is building that credibility and being able to be confident in that, so that when you're up on stage, you're going, hey, I'm giving value to my business. I'm giving value to my skill set and my expertise because I've done the work.
Mm-hmm.
The applicable analogy, remember the whole section we're playing the integrity game, number one. So purpose was just the first. All 10 tips are about giving that. When you talk about credibility, I talk about stability, right? And it looks like Sue may have frozen a little bit. She may drop off and come back. So, hey, that's okay. I'm hyper aware of all of my participants. I got you, Sue. And it just like, so Sue is commenting, you don't want to sabotage yourself. You don't want to build a mansion on quicksand. You don't want anything unstable to support your efforts. You want stability. So I always say when we talk about the integrity game that building a bridge or a tunnel will crumble under pressure tests without structural integrity. And so too will an aspiring, emerging, or even a seasoned speaker. So if we don't know our purpose for speaking, for giving the speech, for doing the event, for the keynote, what brand promise that's tied to, how we're going to, if we don't have answers to all of that, if we just, well, I want to be famous. I want people to like me. I want to brand myself. Only autobiographical reasons aren't good enough, and only biographical reasons are not good enough. We have to integrate and bring those into balance. The other thing too that I'll add to this conversation before I ask for last call for comments, questions, etc., as I'm looking at the time, is I'm going out with my wife tonight. We are going to celebrate a bunch of things and be a happy married couple. So I'm looking at the clock before I make last call. Yeah, now I lost my train of thought. I was thinking about happy married couple. Now I've totally screwed myself
He's
up.
gone, folks. He's gone.
Yeah. See ya. Okay. Yeah, no, it's going to be a fun ride. I want people to understand. I mean, just to summarize, let's get Sue back in here. I knew that she'd come back. Sue, I don't claim to, through this project, we got to know each other even better than we did, but I don't know you so well to claim to be finishing your thoughts, but I got your back. And the point that I thought you were making before you cut off was this credibility that you stand on. You don't want to sabotage yourself, and you want more credibility. So I'm relating that to the idea of structural integrity, which is the section that we're in, right? We want solid concrete foundation. We want to be well built. We want to be maintained, right? And we want to retrofit from time to time so that we withstand pressure tests. Because here's the deal. This is the last point I want to make before I open it up to last call. If I don't know the totality of my purpose in speaking, right? If I don't, including the integration of biographical and autobiographical, now I'm screwed every time I have to make a decision about my speech, about the event, about what to wear, about what to say, about what evidence to provide, about each slide. Should I? And people that spend like, dude, you're giving a 1 hour talk. You spent 80 hours on the slide deck? That's because you don't know your purpose. If you spend 80 hours on a slide deck for a 1 hour talk, you don't know what your purpose is. So you're trying to put everything in there that you're just entertaining your head and scrambling, right? If I know my purpose, I know what to integrate and I know what to repel. If I know my purpose, any unexpected, unwanted thought, occurrence, event, tornado, pandemic, whatever it is, if it's unwanted and I didn't plan for it, it ain't going to mess with me. It's going to bounce off me like a 5 mile an hour wind on a well-built building. Right? So weeds grow on their own. One of my mentors, Brian Tracy, taught me we don't have to do anything. Make room for Murphy. Things are going to go wrong. But if you have purpose and structural integrity and resilience, none of it will mess with you. You'll keep standing. You'll keep doing what you're made to do, built to do. So it's fun to lead off this book with 10 tips on integrity. And why? Because these are tips for non-speakers alike. Don't let the packaging fool you. The entirety of the world can benefit from these tips. Okay. All right. Last call. I love to see your smiling faces. This warms my heart so much. Last call for comments, questions, expressions of gratitude, jokes, riddles, or haikus.
I just second what you're saying. Preach on. I always say I want you to be able to speak in a boat with a goat and a house with a mouse, because the more you do it, the more you're going to be able to overcome any of those things that are going to happen. Not all the time, but you're going to get thrown off. You're going to get caught off guard. Things are going to go wrong, whatever. But yes, when you can be that, I say, put your stake in the ground and this is what I'm here for. It's all integrated inside of me and I'm going to deliver and give that value. That's like most of the, that's most of it. If you
Most
just
of the
come with
battle.
that, you got a lot going for you. Thank you so much.
I would say the integrity game is as easy to understand as it is difficult to play, because I'm not going to pull any punches here or sugarcoat this. Purpose is not an easy question. People have all kinds, and as we're going to advance through the next couple of weeks, we're going to have some more difficult questions to answer. But this is the work that we must. But here's the thing. Here's what I promise you. I promise you. If you commit to having answers to all of these questions, then you will run through brick walls to get your answers out into the world. You will stop at nothing. You will work like you'll do. Once you know your answers to your integrity game, you will be unstoppable. I promise. Whether you want to be a speaker or anything else that you can map this content to, right? We're in last call. Call in, Patty, before I give Sue the last word, as I will each and every week.
No, just thank you.
Oh, thank you for being here. You can tell how pumped up I am to see you guys online. Yeah, thank you. All gratitude is mutual. Colin?
Yeah, thank you for this. It's really instructional. I think it's what whoever wants to get into speaking needs to hear. I just had one question. You'll probably answer it in later sections. But I've seen a lot of speakers now go off track, and it comes about all selling on stage, and they don't have that balance between the autobiographical and the biographical. It's just like everything is about go buy my book, go sign up, go do this. And there's a lack of that integrity there. So I think what you're coming across as a message is so valuable. Let's get back to speaking.
Well, not only that, but here's the thing. Here's what's challenging about that, Colin. If it's in question form, here's what's challenging about that. There must be an autobiographical purpose. So I would never, we can't go as far as to say, don't sell.
Yeah.
I would never, ever, ever, ever. What I will say and what I want for the world is, if you have integrity, if you bring into integration, if you integrate your autobiographical with the biographical, your audience will let you sell all day long. The audience won't see it as commission, but won't be offended. Your audience can't wait. Hey, tell us, what can I do? What can I get involved in? If they see your authenticity, if they see your purpose, if they see congruency, all the things that we're going to be talking about, right? Then you can be.
They'll want to buy it. They'll want to buy it. You don't have to sell. There's a big difference.
Oh yeah. Well, if you want to buy, just private message me and we'll work it out. I'll do right. You talk to me offline. Hey, I love the smiling faces. This is just wonderful for me. Last call. Comments, questions before I turn it over to Sue for this week's final word on tip number 1. Okay. All right. So we're in tip number 1 in section 1, playing the integrity game. We've kicked this thing off. And Sue, I turn it over to you for the final word before we dismiss for this week.
Firstly, what a privilege to be here sharing with the stage with you, doing these tips. But just to this first tip on declaring purpose as part of the integrity game, having been playing the integrity game now for a little while, I guess I just want to emphasize again the importance of starting out with this. And to what you were just saying, Jeff, that when you really know your purpose and you have that integration, that's what I'm finding. It just naturally flows out of who you are. And so you show up with that authenticity. And coming back to what you were saying, Colin, I think people start to buy you for what you're standing for, because you've done that work behind the scenes. And so, yeah, it's just a great place to start.
Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I said last word, except for one more round of gratitude. Lisa, I can't thank you enough, first of all, for the time that you took on admittedly short notice, but to respond to the spontaneity of your brother Like, would you have waited last minute like I did? No, we're different in that regard, Jeff. Anyway, I just can't thank you enough for saying yes, stepping up, delivering, and giving us so much time. You got it to me way sooner than I thought. And then taking the time to be here tonight. It's a special night. It's the first tip reading to support Sue and be a part of the jam. I can't thank you enough. And Colin, Patty, you guys mean a lot to me. Again, you know, Sue, she represents a lot of people around the world, and it's great to see you guys here. And I'm just filled with gratitude. So much gratitude. I have to go celebrate with my wife. Is that okay? All right.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Colin. It was fabulous to see you online here, and Patty and Lisa. Jeff, thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week for tip number 2. Tip number 2 next week. We're going to get into gifts, and it may not be what you think it is, but we're going to get into gifts next week. So thanks, everyone. I love you guys. We'll see you. That signs us off on the first tip reading for Get A Klu in 52 for speakers with Sue Mathieson. Thanks, everyone. Good night.
Good night.